interception for a QBR of 22.6 and a rating of 81.6. Brian Robinson Jr. carried the rock 16 times for 63 yards and a touchdown. Austin Eckler had 8 receptions for 89 yards. Zach Ertz had 6 receptions for 47 yards and a touchdown. For the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts was 18 of 28 for 221 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions for a QBR of 45.2 and a rating of 88.5. Saquon Barkley carried the rock 16 times for 146 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts had 10 carries for 39 yards and a touchdown. A.J. Brown had 5 receptions for 65 yards. The first half was much different than the second half in this game. I think Washington was up 7-3 at halftime, and then up 10-3 going into the fourth quarter, and then Philly just erupted in the fourth quarter. Philly taking further control of that division, improving to 8-2, while Washington falls to 7-4. Moving on to the Sunday afternoon games. The New Orleans Saints defeated the Cleveland Browns 35-14. For Cleveland, Jameis Winston was 30 of 46 for 395 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions for a QBR of 67.6 and a rating of 106.7. Nick Chubb carried the rock 11 times for 50 yards. Jerry Jeudy had 6 receptions. Jerry Jeudy had 6 receptions for 142 yards and 1 touchdown, an 89-yarder. For the New Orleans Saints, Derek Carr was 21 of 27 for 248 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions for a QBR of 66.8 and a rating of 129.6. Taysom Hill carried the rock 7 times for 138 yards and 3 touchdowns. Marquez Valdez-Scantling had 2 receptions for 87 yards and a touchdown. This was the Taysom Hill game. He had passing yards, receiving yards, rushing yards, a bunch of rushing yards, and 3 touchdowns. So he balled out. If you played against him in fantasy, sorry about that. So moving on here, the Miami Dolphins defeated the Las Vegas Raiders 34-19. For the Raiders, Gardner Minshew was 30 of 43 for 282 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception for a QBR of 50.2 and a rating of 93.4. Jacoby Myers carried the rock 1 time for 20 yards. That was the leading rusher. Brock Bowers had 13 receptions for 126 yards and a touchdown. For the Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa was 28 of 36 for 288 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions for a QBR of 90.8 and a rating of 127.8. Devon Achane carried the rock 17 times for 73 yards and a touchdown. Jonnu Smith had a big game, 6 receptions for 101 yards and 2 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill had 7 catches for 61 yards and a touchdown. Second win in a row for Miami. They improved to 4-6. Vegas falls to 2-8. The Pittsburgh Steelers defeated the Baltimore Ravens 18-16. 6 field goals from Chris Boswell. The Steelers couldn't score a touchdown, and the Ravens still couldn't beat them. Lamar Jackson was 16 of 33 for 207 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, a QBR of 59.5 and a rating of 66.1. Derrick Henry carried the rock 13 times for 65 yards and a touchdown. Isaiah Likely had 4 receptions for 75 yards. Zay Flowers had 2 catches for 39 yards and a touchdown. For the Steelers, Russell Wilson was 23 of 36 for 205 yards. No touchdowns, 1 interception for a QBR of 14.4 and a rating of 67.5. Najee Harris carried the rock 18 times for 63 yards. George Pickens had 8 receptions for 89 yards. The Steelers on top of the division at 8-2. Baltimore falls to 7-4. Jaguars 52-6. No surprise there, really, but anytime you get a 50-piece put up, it is crazy in the NFL. But what do we expect? Mac Jones was 17-29 for 138 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, for a QBR of 31 and a rating of 56.4. Travis Etienne carried the rock 12 times for 27 yards. Jacksonville only had 41 yards rushing as a team. Brian Thomas Jr. had 5 receptions for 82 yards. For the Detroit Lions, Jared Goff was 24 of 29 for 412 yards. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, for a QBR of 93.8 and a rating of 158.3. Back on track for Jared Goff this week. David Montgomery carried the rock 15 times for 75 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs carried it 11 times for 69 yards and a touchdown. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 11 receptions for 161 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jamison Williams had 4 catches for 124 yards and a touchdown. Detroit improves to 9-1. Jacksonville falls to 2-9. Detroit looking like the best team in the NFC for sure. The Los Angeles Rams defeated the New England Patriots 28-22. For the Rams, Matthew Stafford was 18 of 27 for 295 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, for a QBR of 83.1 and a rating of 142.7. A good game from Matt Stafford. Kyron Williams carried the rock 15 times for 86 yards. Puka Nacua had 7 receptions for 123 yards and a touchdown. Cooper Kupp had 6 receptions for 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. For the Patriots, Drake May was 30 of 40 for 282 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, for a QBR of 73.7 and a rating of 100.2. Ramondre Stevenson carried the rock 20 times for 73 yards. Kendrick Bourne had 5 receptions for 70 yards and a touchdown. The Rams improved to 5-5. New England falls to 3-8. The Indianapolis Colts defeated the New York Jets 28-27. Of a late touchdown run from Anthony Richardson late in the 4th quarter. Anthony Richardson for the Colts was 20 of 30 for 272 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, for a QBR of 75.4 and a rating of 106.5. Jonathan Taylor carried the rock 24 times for 57 yards. Anthony Richardson carried the rock 10 times for 32 yards and 2 touchdowns. Josh Downs had 5 receptions for 84 yards and a touchdown. For the Jets, Aaron Rodgers was 22 of 29 for 184 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, for a QBR of 37.8 and a rating of 114.7. Breece Hall carried the rock 16 times for 78 yards and a touchdown. Devontae Adams had 6 receptions for 72 yards. The Jets fall to 3-8. The Colts improved to 5-6. The Minnesota Vikings defeated the Tennessee Titans 23-13. Sam Darnold was 20 of 32 for 246 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, for a QBR of 65.4 and a rating of 107. Aaron Jones carried the rock 15 times for 39 yards. Justin Jefferson had 6 receptions for 81 yards. For the Titans, Will Levis was 17 of 31 for 295 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, for a QBR of 43.1 and a rating of 84.7. Will Levis also carried the rock 7 times for 18 yards. Nick Westbrook-Ikine, 2 receptions for 117 yards and a touchdown. The Vikings improved to 8-2, and the Titans fall to 2-8. The Green Bay Packers defeated the Chicago Bears 20-19. For the Packers, Jordan Love was 13 of 17 for 261 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, for a QBR of 80.7 and a rating of 113. Josh Jacobs carried the rock 18 times for 76 yards and a touchdown. Christian Watson had 4 receptions for 150. What? 4 receptions for 150 is crazy. For the Bears, Caleb Williams was 23 of 31 for 231 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, for a QBR of 83.3 and a rating of 95. DeAndre Swift carried the rock 14 times for 71 yards touchdown. Roma Tunze had 6 receptions for 65 yards. The Bears fall to 4-6. The Packers improved to 7-3. The Denver Broncos defeated the Atlanta Falcons 38-6. For the Falcons, Kirk Cousins was 18 of 27 for 173 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, for a QBR of 34.9 and a rating of 68.9. Bijan Robinson carried the rock 12 times for only 35 yards. Drake London had 3 receptions for 61 yards. For the Broncos, Bo Nix had himself a day, 28 of 33 for 307 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, a QBR of 75.5 and a rating of 145. Yeah, that's a good day, 28 to 33. Yeah, 300, yeah. Javonte Williams carried the rock 9 times for 59 yards and a touchdown. Cortland Sutton had 7 receptions for 78 yards. The Broncos improved to 6-5. The Falcons fall to 6-5. Okay, these late games. The Seattle Seahawks defeated the San Francisco 49ers 20-17. I did not think that was going to happen. That was on a late rushing touchdown from Geno Smith late in the 4th quarter also. And I think the Niners are in trouble. The Niners might be in a little bit of trouble. Geno Smith, 25 of 32 for 221, no touchdowns, 1 INT, for a QBR of 82.2 and a rating of 82.4. Kenneth Walker carried the rock 14 times for 54 yards and a touchdown. Jackson Smith and Jigba had 10 receptions for 110 yards. For the Niners, Brock Purdy was 21 of 28 for 159, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, for a QBR of 78.7 and a rating of 85.3. Christian McCaffrey carried the rock 19 times for 79 yards. Juwan Jennings had 10 receptions for 91 yards and a touchdown. San Francisco falls to 5-5. Seattle improves to 5-5. And that division is a gridlock. Arizona 6-4, and then the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Niners all at 5-5. And you're probably going to have to win that division to get in the playoffs because 3 teams are going from the NFC North. And San Francisco might be in trouble. Okay. Moving on. The Buffalo Bills defeated the Kansas City Chiefs 30-21. And in Kansas City, their first loss of the season, their first loss since Christmas last year. For the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes was 23 of 33 for 196 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, for a QBR of 63.2 and a rating of 90. Kareem Hunt carried the rock 14 times for 60 yards. Xavier Worthy had 4 receptions for 61 yards and a touchdown. For the Bills, Josh Allen was 27 of 40 for 262 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, for a QBR of 82.8 and a rating of 83.5. He also carried the rock 12 times for 55 yards and a touchdown. Khalil Shakir had 8 receptions for 70 yards. Big win for Buffalo. Very pedestrian numbers on offense for Kansas City. Again, it's been like that all season. And then Josh Allen putting the game away with that run on 4th down. That 26-yard touchdown run on 4th down. Yeah, I feel like he needed that, but they're gonna need to do it in the playoffs more. I don't like the way that Kansas City's looking. They just keep winning games. But I finally caught up with them this time. Buffalo looks good. I will say that Buffalo looks really good. Okay, moving on to the primetime game. The Los Angeles Chargers defeated the Cincinnati Bengals 34-27. You want to talk about a game of 2 halves. The Chargers were killing them in the first half, and then Cincinnati came back in the second half, and the Chargers were able to pull it out in the end. For the Bengals, Joe Burrow was 28 of 50 for 356 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, for a Jamar Chase had 7 receptions for 75 yards and 2 touchdowns. For the Chargers, Justin Herbert was 17 of 36 for 297 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, for a QBR of 40.9 and a rating of 94.3. Justin Herbert also carried the rock 5 times for 65 yards. J.K. Dobbins carried the rock 11 times for 56 yards and 2 touchdowns. Ladd McConkey had 6 receptions for 123 yards. The Chargers improved to 7-3. The Bengals fall to 4-7, and I think the Bengals are toast officially. I had been thinking that they would kind of like flip the switch like they had in the past, but I think they're toast now officially. And Joe Burrow is getting killed every time he goes back there to throw the football. Every time he's getting killed. They better find a way to protect him better. And he's having the MVP season, really. Numbers wise, if they were winning games, no doubt he'd be in the MVP conversation if they were winning games. Alright, moving on, the Monday night game. The Houston Texans defeated the Dallas Cowboys 34-10. No surprise to anybody here. C.J. Stroud was 23 of 34 for 257 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception for a QBR of 51.6 and a rating of 77.7. They ran the ball all over Dallas, though. Joe Mixon carried the rock 20 times for 109 yards and 3 touchdowns. And Nico Collins, first game back from a hamstring injury, 4 receptions for 54 yards. He had like a 77-yarder caught back on the first play of the game. It was caught back because of a penalty, though. For the Cowboys, Cooper Rush was 32 of 55 for 354 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, for a QBR of 30.5 and a rating of 75.9. Rico Dowdle carried the rock 10 times for 28 yards. C.D. Lamb had 8 receptions for 93 yards. Dallas falls to 3-7. Houston improves to 7-4. that's about all I have for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Please, as always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe.